April 22nd, 2025. 26 people are killed in a terror attack in the Indian-controlled part of Kashmir. India accuses Pakistan of backing the assault. On May 7th, India launches Operation Sindoor. Cross-border missile strikes hit locations in Pakistan's Punjab province and the Pakistani-controlled part of Kashmir. Dozens are reportedly killed. The next day, Pakistan reacts with attacks. Drones and missiles are being fired back and forth, killing even more civilians. These two nuclear-armed nations look to be on the brink of an all-out war. And then, a sudden ceasefire. Both countries take a step back and the conflict is frozen again. But it is far from over, because the central dispute between India and Pakistan isn't just over Kashmir, but over who controls something even more valuable flowing through it: water. Kashmir is a disputed mountainous region between northern India and Pakistan. Several great rivers flow through it, including the Indus and its tributaries, the Chenab, Ravi, and Jhelum. These rivers are part of the Indus Rivers system, a massively important hydrographic network running through India, Pakistan, and neighbouring countries. More than 300 million people rely on the rivers to supply them with water to drink and grow their crops. Whoever controls these rivers controls the lives of millions of people, not just in Kashmir, but in the entire Indus basin.
Both countries, the vast percentage of the population are involved in agriculture.
It's an important economic base for many people, providing livelihoods.
India and Pakistan are both considered to be water-scarce countries, and as their population continues to grow in the future, this will continue to be something that creates a cause for concern for both parties.
And then there's electricity. The Indus River system is crucial for harnessing hydropower, although it's not the only source. Around a quarter of Pakistan's energy comes from hydropower, while for India it's just over a tenth. Whoever is in charge of these rivers controls thousands of megawatts of electricity being generated each year. The decision over who was given power over which river was decided 65 years ago. India and Pakistan, as we know today, gained independence from Britain in 1947. A border was drawn, based predominantly on the population of Muslims and Hindus in each area. The Hindu Maharaja of the state of Jammu and Kashmir decided to join India, despite having a majority Muslim population. The countries have fought 3 wars since independence, 2 over Kashmir. The region is split between both India and Pakistan, with each country claiming it as their own. The importance of the management of the Indus Rivers, most of which cross through Kashmir, was recognised during the partition. It was also seen as a way to promote cooperation between the two neighbours. So in 1960, the Indus Waters Treaty was brokered by the World Bank. The treaty gave India control over the 3 eastern rivers, while Pakistan was given control over the 3 western rivers. The treaty survived decades of conflict and heightened tensions. Until now.
पानी और खून भी एक साथ नहीं बह सकता.
On April 23rd, 2025, the day after the terror attack in the Indian-controlled part of Kashmir, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced he'd done something none of his predecessors had dared. He'd suspended the Indus Waters Treaty.
India immediately suspended the Indus Water Treaty as a sort of symbolic act to register their discontent with Pakistan.
The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism.
The Indian decision is equivalent to an attack on the people of Pakistan and its economy.
This is a time where we're now seeing that water is being weaponized, where a water resource is being weaponized, that leverage is being expressed over something that's very critical.
Clearly, it's been used as a political strategic device to try and see how they can overcome this very intense issue over the Kashmir region.
Originally, the treaty was signed based on goodwill and friendship. There is nothing in the treaty to allow for either country to abandon the agreement, but India has done so after claiming Pakistan violated the terms. By suspending the treaty, India sends a clear message to Pakistan: allow terror attacks to happen, and you will face cataclysmic consequences. So what could India do?
Longer term, that would be building dams and reservoirs to withhold water from Pakistan, which is highly dependent on those flows for its agriculture. The other thing it could do is it could release water in the form of a water bomb, is how it's phrased in India, that they could suddenly send a cascade of water down and flood Pakistan. That feels in Pakistan, I think, like the biggest current threat, because 2 years ago, Pakistan was absolutely devastated by flooding.
There will be no sharing of the real-time hydrological data between India and Pakistan, which India was required to do, again, under the treaty, which would give Pakistan a lot of crucial information about things like drought forecasts, flood warnings, changes in glacier melting. It's important to note that the Indus Water Treaty itself forbade India from kind of building the necessary dams, reservoirs, and canals to actually withhold or divert Indus flows. But that doesn't mean that they now can't ramp up the production or construction of hydropower projects that could do that in the future.
Control of the higher reaches of the Indus water system might give India the upper hand, but there are also ways Pakistan could use the rivers as a weapon.
It has been suggested that Pakistan could block drains on its side of the border, and that could send toxic wastewater upstream that could flood Indian farmlands just on the other side of the border.
Pakistan could theoretically build dams or build more irrigation canals, but it takes quite a bit of time and a lot of labor. Most of the irrigation that is done in the country relies on the Indus waters. Now, I'm not sure if they would do that at the jeopardy of their local communities, their agricultural activities, and try and do something to block India per se.
But there's another player in the region who does have serious leverage over India.
Pakistan does have one sort of ace up its sleeve, which is a strong partnership with China, which is the upstream country of several rivers that India depends upon.
India and China are linked by a number of rivers, including the Indus, which originates in Tibet. China has recently greenlit a massive hydropower project upstream from India, which is set to dwarf their immense Three Gorges Dam, currently the world's largest power station. Delhi has expressed concerns. Not surprising, as Pakistan and China are close strategic allies. China is Pakistan's largest weapons supplier and has funded several large-scale agriculture and infrastructure projects in the country.
There is a dam in China which has interfered with the flow of water into India and has been used at times of political tension to signal to India that they too could be the victim of this kind of using water as a weapon.
The Indus Waters Treaty survived years of tension and unrest, but it has now succumbed to the latest dispute in Kashmir. India says the suspension of the treaty shouldn't come as a surprise. For years, it has signalled its dissatisfaction, arguing that the treaty needs to be updated to reflect today's realities, including climate change, population, and environmental concerns.
I think it's important to look at when it has raised those, and it has tended to be at a time of tension or in the immediate aftermath of a terror attack emanating from Pakistan. So I think it's hard to disassociate the water treaty from the political tensions that exist independently of it.
It is incredibly important, and not just for the Indus Water Treaty, but other resource sharing agreements that would require renegotiation, or at least a goodwill to understand how changing development needs, foreign policy priorities, security priorities, population needs could impact things like resource sharing agreements.
It's very, very difficult to just rip up and walk away from a long-established treaty. That takes a lot of political stakes. That's very high political stakes. At the same time, trying to revamp an international treaty is also very, very difficult. That really hasn't been done in many cases. Even updating a treaty, a clause, just a tiny clause in a treaty can take a lot of time
I think it's fascinating to see how there has been such an emphasis on the military aspect of this, of trying to get a ceasefire, which of course is very important. But I think the Indus Water Treaty needs to be addressed as well. And it can't be afforded to be left behind because the consequences would definitely be grave.